Well, pleased with the victory, certainly at home. I thought that our team kind of found themselves a little bit today. We have been looking to go into a second week here and put the pieces together. And I think, by and large, they started to fall together for us today. You saw a number of different players on the offensive side of the ball have significant roles in what we did offensively, and that was kind of what we were expecting to kind of happen today, and it came to fruition. I think the defense kind of set it up for us. The big interception by that kid 14, who is he's around the ball. I mean, he just has a great nose for the football, and the interception for a touchdown, got us some great momentum, and then we were able to feed off that. I thought Avery Davis's electric run, who we incidentally gave the game ball to, for him being so humble as a player and unselfish to flip from quarterback to running back to defense and back to the offensive side of the ball and come up big with an electric run that kind of really got the entire team and stadium into it. So a lot of really good things, things that we can certainly improve upon, and certainly the competition will be, ratcheted up. I thought New Mexico played hard. They're well coached. We certainly still, our thoughts are with Coach Davey. It sounds like he's making a great recovery. I know he was disappointed that he couldn't make the trip here, but he's certainly got a football team that's going to compete and play hard in the Mountain West for him. So with that, I know you've already talked to the players. Let's see if I can try to stay on task with what they've said.
Brian, you mentioned sort of the pieces falling into place. You know what this offense can be, but, I mean, how significant from a confidence perspective is it for the players to experience it in a game?
Well, I think that's part and parcel in terms of what I was saying. Braden Lindsey needed to make a play, right? He needed to make that big catch. I think Sebo needed to go in there and pick up a couple of blitzes and make a couple of plays and a couple of good runs. Javon McKinley needed to make a big play, which he made a couple of really big plays. He's been, a guy that has been kind of lost in, cyberspace, if you will, and he's now going to have to play a significant role. So all of these guys needed to make a play. Ian Book needed to make a play. I think he needed to make that throw to Chase Claypool, and all those things needed to come together. We thought they would, and we saw them come together this afternoon.
Ian Book, I know you haven't watched the tape yet, but you just feel better about his performance today than you did a couple weeks ago?
Oh, absolutely.
And where did that maybe hit you the most?
Technically, he settled down, was in the pocket, got pressured, had to deliver the football under duress, setting his feet. Just all those things that we didn't see against Louisville. So, again, game two. And again, I want to caution everybody that it's so different when you practice, for us, almost 6, 8, 7 weeks now where you've only played one game. You need to play at real speed. And so to get this game under our belts going into Georgia was really big for us. And to get Ian into a rhythm really helped today a lot.
Brian, 67% of Javon McKinley's catches this year for touchdowns. Just how great is it to have him be out there and obviously making plays? And, with that success rate, do you think about maybe throwing the ball a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you on the sidelines to keep me involved. I don't know how to respond to that other than I'm a moron.
If it comes with a pay raise, I'm in.
And you're absolutely right. He's a physical presence. As you know, he got on the field in a first-team rotation. So we're starting to get it here and figure it out that he's not a number two. He can play as a number one. So we like his size. We like what he's done. Look, he would have been playing a long time ago if we had the young man playing at a consistent level. He is showing that. He is practicing well. He is doing the right things both on and off the field. You guys don't want to hear this, but all those traits are starting to show themselves, and he's preparing himself for a big year for us.
And then I guess, knowing what kind of Sean Crawford and all the injuries he's gone through, when he gets an interception like that, just emotionally, like, how do you feel when
Yeah,
you
we
see
made
that?
note of it in the post-game talk about individual plays. It was great to see him. He was in and around the football again quite a bit today, as he usually is. He finds the football as well. Just to, think back on the lows that he's had to go through, and to see him today come up with a big play, it's kind of nice.
Brian, right here to your right.
Yeah, too.
How do you explain Kyle Hamilton's ability to be around the football?
It starts with really good vision, and he recognizes things for the first time really well. Route recognition is outstanding. Some have a good pattern read recognition, some don't. He knows that when two goes to the flat, one's probably breaking back towards him, and he just has a natural sense and feel for route recognition. Two go vertical, I'm going to stay on top of two. It just, some guys have it, some guys struggle with it. He's got that a natural ability, and then length obviously helps quite a bit.
You had mentioned that there were some checks that maybe weren't made in your third and short in the last game.
Yeah.
How do you think Ian Book handled that this game?
It was better. I think we were still, there's still room improvement there. I'm not too concerned about some of the things that happened. We missed one or two of them. We'll go back and take a look at it. I'll have to probably pass on getting into too specifics, because I think we were 1 for 10 total. But again, so many of them, there's other 10 guys in there that I have to kind of process, and then there's the play call, and so there's other things involved. I know there was one in particular where the ball should have been somewhere else, but other than that, it's hard for me to.
I did want to mention the 1 for 10 because you were also 5 for 5 on fourth down. I'm sure you don't quite look at that as a wash, because you can't always go for it on fourth down depending upon where you are on the field. But how concerned are you with the 1 for 10?
Yeah, so some of it's set up for fourth down. So our analytics are some of it might be getting some of it back on third down, to set up a fourth down play too. So there are some, again, we could hash this out for a while, but there are mitigating factors in that 1 for 10, and I'd have to go through each one of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
George here on the left. Coach, to follow up on Tim's question, the short third and short conversions still do seem to be a struggle. How do you prevent that going forward with a team against Georgia? Because it may not be as forgiving, come next week.
We see exactly what you see. Obviously those are the things that we're going to have to continue to work on. We're certainly not a finished product by any means. So we know the things that have to, improve as a football team. I think everybody in the NFL and college football knows that their short yardage is got to be efficient. That'll be something that we'll spend time on over the next couple of days and look at the things that we need to do to be better in those areas.
Brian, are you playing Georgia at the right time, because you had that gap between this game to improve, and I assume you gained some confidence today?
Yeah, I don't know that there's ever, I don't know if you ever look at a right time or a wrong time. I think we needed this game to kind of, as I mentioned earlier, to find some of the pieces that are going to be needed to make explosive plays. You're not going to beat Georgia by just 3 yards here, 4 yards. You're going to have to make some explosive plays. So we needed to see that happen today. So having said that, we can't give up big plays like we did in the running game today. and we have to find explosive plays in our offense. So those two came together today against New Mexico. It doesn't mean they're coming again against Georgia, but we know a little bit more about our football team, which allows us to put together a plan of action as we go and tackle a very good opponent on the road.
And what went, it's going back a ways now, but what went into the decision to keep McKinley in school and give him another chance?
Boy, there was a lot to it. Advocacy from across campus. He had a really clean record with us. This was an I don't want to say an aberration, but it was something that had never happened before, which earned him the opportunity to get a second chance.
Brian, you mentioned Kyron Williams and Braden Lenzy earlier. When you were talking about trying to be dynamic in your offense, do you feel like they earned your trust today that they could be bigger pieces going forward, or at least important pieces?
They earned what we asked them today to do, and that was, you have to be part of our offense moving forward. When we call your number today, you need to make a play, and they did. We didn't ask them to catch 10 balls today. We asked them to make a play for us so we can now get you involved in our offense, and each one of them did that. We asked Sibo Flemister to pick up a blitzer. He did. We asked him to run hard on the goal line, and he did. He picked up a penalty for a procedure penalty because he was given some instruction on a play, and he wasn't sure exactly what he was given, and so he was looking back, and all he said to me was, I just want to earn your trust, and I'm trying to do the right thing. And I said, you have our trust. Just go out and play. And so that's all these kids want to do well so bad that they ask us more about it than anybody else. So all we told them after the game was, look, you're doing great. It doesn't mean you have to do for 40 or 50 plays. Just make the play when we call, and I think we'll have them moving forward for those plays.
I can imagine you could put Avery Davis's pass and Fink's pass into the run pile.
Sure.
But in the big picture, you mentioned to us at the beginning of the season, running the ball and stopping the run were two big identity points for you. Where do you feel you are with those two things right now?
I think good. I mean, we got to have better. Look, stopping the run by and large, they were committed to running the football today. I think they had almost 50 carries. You can't beat us, running it 50 times with just two big plays. We don't want to give up any big plays. Our top-down run support's got to be better. Our safety support's got to be better to it. Our fit by the backers has got to be better. We'll get that cleaned up. We're not getting pushed off the ball. We're not getting manhandled. None of that concerns me at all. From an offensive line standpoint, yeah, could we have been better today? Probably. But they weren't going to let us run the ball up inside, so we're going to move to some other things that we can do. We threw for almost 450 yards, and it's the nature of college football today, and you better be able to do both. If you can't run it because they don't want you to run it, you better throw it. If you can't, you're in trouble. I think we can do both.
Brian, regarding Avery Davis, he's obviously spent time on your offense in the past, but it's been a while. What is it about him that he was able to basically walk into that situation with very little work over the last several months and be productive today? And how big was his playbook, or did we just see the short roll that you had for him and it worked?
It was bigger than what we featured today. We wanted to get him involved a little bit today, and we didn't want to show a whole lot today. So he's a smart kid, played high school football at a very good program, knows the game well, was able to retain most of our offense. But quite frankly, we wanted to be able to lean on Sibo a little bit more today, Kyron a little bit more today, and he was going to get some scripted touches more than having the entire offensive playbook at his disposal.
I've heard you've got something called the 24-hour rule. Will you take the full 24 to enjoy this, or does the opportunity and the challenge in front of you coerce you to pretty quickly start thinking about what's 7 days in front of you?
What's 24 hours take us till? 6 o'clock?
Ish.
No, we'll be in at 10 a.m. So whatever that is, the math on that, we'll get back in at 10 a.m. and get to work on Georgia. So we'll watch the film. I take that back. We'll watch the film at 10. We'll be done with it by 1 o'clock so I can answer questions on injuries and things like that from Eric. And then we'll move on to Georgia.